And we are back again. It's your favorite neighborhood football talkers, the Frankie, here with Frankie Football again. I'm Brandon.
Hey, I'm setting it off, Chris. I'm not decorated and adorned in my prime 88. I didn't know that we was wearing jerseys, but I understand after a win, as miraculous and improbable as it was on Sunday, I did not get the memo that we was wearing jerseys, but we will next time from here henceforth.
Come on now. It's a victory. And I gotta wear the double
I understand. But I expect us to win all our games. We just gonna go 15-1.
Exactly.
So, I'm gonna have to go ahead and pull the jerseys out.
We're going 15-1 until somebody beat us. That's how I feel.
Somebody beat us. So somebody beat us, man.
But then we turn around and beat somebody. As you clearly would know by now, if you are plugged into the world in any way, the Dallas Cowboys had an improbable comeback against the Atlanta Falcons, a comeback that had only a 0.01% of a chance to happen.
Yeah, a tenth of a percent to win a game in which they trailed by 20 and 19 points in the game, and they ended up turning around and doing everything right after they settled down, even with some kind of questionable calls, coaching wise, to pull out a victory. And it's you just got to kiss that pig, as Brad Shannon said. You got to kiss that pig. Sometimes you're gonna get an ugly win, but you got everything you wanted. You got a 40 burger and you got a win. So we're definitely excited about that.
Them 40 burgers, man, you got to season them things, man. You got to season them.
It was well seasoned, man. It was well seasoned, man. Turned it over, had a little grill lines and everything to it. It was well done.
Absolutely. So, we gonna dissect this video. And, everybody's going to talk about the offense. Obviously, they deserve it. Dak Prescott put this game on his back. But we're going to be a little different. We're going to start on the opposite side of the ball. We're going to talk about this defense.
Right.
Because, while it's easy to talk about how bad the defense was for allowing 39 points to come on against them, I feel like there was a lot of good things that happened in this ball game on behalf of our defense. So I wanted to show that, in kind of like a good, bad, and ugly type of sense, that this defense, it had a lot going on.
I think the defense did very well to keep it at 29 points because the offense continuously inside that first half, definitely inside that first quarter, kept putting them in bad situations and bad decision makings. Not only do you give them 3 fumbles in the first quarter, you also turn around inside that first half, you give them a failed fake punt, and that's like a turnover as well. So now you're to the point, that's 4 turnovers inside your 35-yard line, it's on your side of 50, and you only end up giving up, I know it sounds crazy, you end up giving up 29 points in the first half. It could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. I think that our defense, they perform much better in the red zone than they do in those middle of the field type situations. And that's something that's been consistent. That's something that's been consistent in these first 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's been a definite bend, don't break type defense, which we didn't like a lot before, when there was another regime here, because we wanted them to take the ball away, stop the team, get 3 and outs. But for the first couple of weeks, or for better yet, for the first 8 quarters, this defense has been, after installation of being seen, it's been a really bend, don't break. It's given up some plays. Some guys have been in opposition, as we're going to show. But it's been enough to, in the second half, after making adjustments, it really clamps down on everything.
Absolutely. And I think that's what you need when you say bend, don't break. Last year, I think that we didn't perform as well in the red zone. There could be a multitude of factors that contributed to that. But this year, I think that the red zone is where it counts. That's where defense make their money.
Right.
And if we can, continue to build off of what's been going on in these first 8 quarters, then, I feel like the sky's the limit from there.
Well, I think when we came walking into the season, B, we were looking for the pass rush to be ferocious, to be, bothersome to a lot of different teams. First game which we played against Los Angeles, they got the ball out quickly. That got it to the point where they scored, but they got the ball out quickly. Therefore, the pass rush couldn't be really, really effective. This time, Atlanta's offensive line was a whole lot better than we expected. And the D linemen are to the process of learning each other. I think what's come accustomed to most Cowboy fans is we expect the cake to be ready to serve with ice cream on September 1, first week of the season. Whereas if anybody knows that, you got to break some eggs. You got to add a little sugar. You got to add a little vanilla. You got to get your flour. You got to mix it. You got to make sure the pan's right. You got to flour the pan. You got to make the pan flat, and then you bake the cake. We're just in the process of right now cracking some eggs, finding out the rotations that we want, and in the plays we're going to show, you're not going to see the same 4 guys on the line. You're going to see different combination of guys working together and understand each other to be able to be effective. And I think that's what we're going to see.
Absolutely. So let's dive right into it, man. We going to see some good, some bad, some ugly. I'll be honest with you. Anyone watching this video, it's not all going to be pretty, but we here for objective views.
Right.
So,
and man, we just out here, man, we're trying to educate the masses so that when you're sitting at the water cooler, when you're sitting there talking, debating a sorry Philadelphia fan or a 40-year-old, a 40-year rebuild team like a Dolphin fan, or somebody trying to talk to you about, oh, you were lucky. No, you can educate them on, hey, this is the nuances of football. And guess what? You can watch the film too and become a smarter, better fan.
Absolutely,
that's what we're here for.
These resources available to any and everybody.
Right.
So, I think it's good that we start off on a good note. We get to see where the defense really steps up to stop things from happening. So this play that we're going to watch here, this is early in the game. This is in the first quarter, 12 minutes and 4 seconds left. In a third and mid-range situation, this is going to be 3rd and 5.
Right.
So I'm going to pull this up, and, we're going to watch the play first and then get to dissect it from there. Okay, so give me one moment. We edited on the fly here. Great. Now we're going to pay attention to Daryl Worley here.
Oh. Okay.
Look at that.
Right. That was something that in this game and the first couple of weeks when we've been watching them, that they have been this close from getting an interception. They got the one interception when they got against Jared Goff. They also had another tip ball that came in the air, and Young Diggs, he mistimed his jump. On this play, Worley mistimed his jump. Matter of fact, he probably didn't even have to jump. Had he just sat there and looked the ball in, he would have caught it, and then he'd been turning and going to the field up the other way.
Absolutely. And that is not the only play that could have been an interception. That's the first of, I believe, 3 in this game.
At least 3 that we saw. Right.
Absolutely. And the thing about that play, I like that our guys are always almost there.
A lot more than they were. Yeah, a lot more than they were a year ago. Because a year ago, you weren't playing the ball. You was playing the guy's hands.
Absolutely. So when you see yourself in those situations and you got guys that are really almost there, the coaches are teaching them to be in position. So if they're in the right place, all they have to do is now then apply the coaching to actually get the interception, because that's something that we saw in training camp.
Right.
They wanted guys to get the interceptions, and they were able to come away with the ball in a lot of situations. So this is, like you said, breaking the eggs. All they got to do is put that cake in the oven, and it's going to come out done.
It's going to take more time as it continues to congeal, come together. It's going to be – we will know what this defense is, honestly, and I know many Cowboy fans won't like it. You won't know what this defense is until like week 10. So right around Thanksgiving time frame, you'll kind of know what this defense is. And then we can make a pure assessment of where it's going. But here's the beauty of it. Week 10 last year, the defending world champion Kansas City Chiefs were continuing to get better. And as they creep closer and closer to the playoffs, they start to trust each other more, be able to make more plays. When they got to the playoffs, they were playoff ready. And that's what we're working for. We know right now, as we're going to discuss later with the offense, our offense is going to keep them in games. The defense has just got to keep us from getting blown out early in games so we have enough time for our offense to come back and do what it does.
Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next play. This is about a minute later, still in the first quarter. This is going to be a 1st and 10 with 11 minutes and 6 seconds left. Now, this one, it isn't much good that we can say in this particular situation because this is going to be the Atlanta Falcons' first touchdown. So we're going to let this play go, and we're going to see exactly what happens here. Now, if you notice, Calvin Ridley puts our man on skates.
Well, first off, we have to give respect to Quintaris Lopez-Jones, okay, and Calvin Ridley for being two of the best nuanced route running guys in the league. That's the first thing. Also on that play, you want to give credit to the play design for the play action and them freezing the linebackers enough to do that. It was only by the heads-up play of Jalen Smith making sure he pushed young Tristan Hill through the hole or tell him which direction to go that we got any pressure because they were, in week 1, rushing up the field, running past everything, afraid of getting beat by the screen. So now they're coming up field more under control, not as violent, and I think that's why I gave Matt Ryan more time to do that. That's a long developing route. And for Calvin Ridley to give him a hard stick to the inside and spin him in like a top to turn it outside, that's just a great route run.
Absolutely. And I'm going to pull this up again because I love that you highlighted what Jalen Smith did. We see situations where Jalen Smith can't switch direction and move laterally.
Right.
But we do see the cerebral part of his game. Pay attention to him pushing Tristan Hill inside in order to apply the pressure to Matt Ryan.
Right.
That gave them a chance to succeed on the play.
Yep.
So
it did.
Even though Jalen, gets a lot of crap because, yes, he does struggle with moving laterally and changing directions and coverage. He runs downhill, excellent. But we have to give him credit for the cerebral part of his game. He is developing mentally as a quarterback of a defense.
Well, he was doing it before last year. They turned it over to Leighton. Leighton gets hurt, but now because he's such an intelligent player, he's able to kind of tell everybody what in the lineup, things of that nature, but also hold on to his responsibility as a weak side linebacker causing pressure. So that's a beautiful thing he's doing for us.
Absolutely. Now, unfortunately, Calvin got the touchdown. That was the first of many early in the game. First of many. And you see where he turns guys completely around because he hits a stutter move and gets the DB thinking that he's going to run inside.
Right.
And instead gets him spent completely around and heads outside.
I mean, it's a great route to run. Talking to my son, we were talking about earlier, he said that's a great route to run for a first down because when you get the DB turned, his leverage is going inside. And if you got the ability to slow yourself down and get back outside, you're going to be open by yourself majority of the time. Great thrown ball by Matt Ryan, great catch and execution by Calvin Ridley, and hey, it's a score. Nothing you can do about it.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, Brandon, excuse me, I need to cut. Sometimes you got to be able to say, you know what? That's what that guy gets paid to do.
Absolutely.
That's what he is paid money to do, to put the ball on the money after a great run route. And that's exactly what happened in that play.
Absolutely. That's why they have a great 1-2 punch. Not a great 1-2-3 punch like we have, but I'm willing to give their guys all of the credit that they've earned.
Yeah, it's not a Hydra, but it's definitely it's a tough two-headed monster.
Absolutely, man. Now, we talked about the first quarter of this game a lot. Personally, I think that was one of the worst quarters of football that I've seen in a long time. I'll be the first to
It
admit.
ranks right up there. It ranks right up there with some of the worst I've seen in history.
Absolutely. But the good thing about this, the one silver lining that we can get from this, it gives us content to make for you guys.
Oh yeah, it gives you the ability and everyone the ability to take a look and say, okay, where they weak at. Because if you would look at this defense, you would think the whole thing is garbage. But honestly, I think that each level of the defense is getting better with more reps, more repetition. And I think, like I said, by week 10, we'll actually definitely know what this defense is.
That's right. But let's move it along, man. This is a little bit further along in the first quarter now. This next play is going to be, once again, 1st and 10, but a little bit further along, 7 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Now, like I said, we've had a lot go wrong in this first quarter.
Right. Yeah, quite a bit.
And this one is just going to keep progressing upon that. This is another touchdown. This is going to be Atlanta's second touchdown here.
Oh. Boom.
You see, Hayden Hurst managed to get completely open, wide open. He had his own area code at that point in time. He had his own area code. That's the best way for me to say it. And this was a multitude of things gone wrong. Let's start it there. We're gonna let the cartel view go though, and then I want to talk about it.
It was a beautiful waggle or boot because it got the defense flowing in one direction. They saw Gurley back there. They said, "Hey, we're going that direction. We're gonna make a play." And it's just a great ball fake, and great run design play.
Absolutely. It got Hayden isolated totally on his own.
Right.
So, what do you think caused this on the defense outside of obviously guys not expecting the tight end to float off?
Yeah, I think they just got to the point of they read it as a run play. That's what play action does. Play action gets you to the point of getting mixed direction and different signals and different directions you go and while inside the play. And it's a great play design to run Hurst up the seam wide open. And as you can see, when you have a capable tight end, sky's the limit for your offense.
That's right. And we were able to learn that this week, but we're going to cover that in the offensive episode.
No doubt.
We're going to cover that in the offensive episode. But I think that having a complete tight end, someone who will block for you and then go off and do their receiver thing, it means the world to an offense. You see different teams now that make full use of their tight ends. And I'm so glad that – go ahead.
I think the tight end has to be able to block well enough. I don't need him to be my sixth offensive lineman. I need him to be my tight end. And, when I'm looking across the league of athletic, mismatched kind of guys, you think of who? You think of Kelsey in Kansas City.
Kittle.
You think of Kittles in San Francisco. You think of
Ertz.
You get Ertz when they're playing well. You think of Waller in Las Vegas. Definitely a guy who deserves to play. And that other guy that's over there, he don't deserve to get off the bench, and he did it all. And I was excited. And so you saw this weekend, Hayden Hurst, he's a guy. Mark Andrews for the Ravens. Tyler Higbee for the Los Angeles Rams. People, you don't have to have a overpowering blocker. He just has to be able to block well enough, but you can set him up in formations where he's unattached on the line of scrimmage and making plays.
That's right. And we're able to see Dallas take advantage of that with Schultz. Even though Schultz, isn't going to be as physically imposing as Mark Andrews or Darren Waller, I feel like they were able to utilize his strengths and put him in position to make a big impact this game.
Hey, man, big shout out to the hand surgeon that worked on Dalton Schultz between last week and this week that he got his magic hands and he brought him to the game this weekend.
Absolutely. Hey, I said it multiple times. I'm surprised that he didn't show up on the injury report. Major hand surgery is something that you would expect the guy to show up.
You would expect that. After he dropped that 2nd and 6 down the red zone, that would have totally alleviated the fourth down play to Cedarian Lamb.
Yes.
He dropped that one. He comes back this week, has a fumble, rectifies that, and has a great game.
Absolutely. So let's move it on, man. We got a lot of things to cover. We're gonna keep this in the first quarter once again. It's a lot. This is a wide sample size, I think, that this first quarter of ball gave us, which I think this entire game did represent. But we see a lot of good and a lot of bad in this first quarter. So this is at 5 minutes and 23 seconds left. This is going to be a 2nd and 9. And you're going to see some really good things here. Now, if you see, the DB almost came away. Cheeto almost came away with this interception. You're really going to see it in the cartel view. But just pay attention to his dive and him once again being almost a hair away from the interception. A hair away.
Great coverage by Chizobe. Turning around, getting his head around to the ball. Something we hadn't seen those guys do ever since they've been in the league. And he puts himself in position to almost make a play. Love what they did. Loved how he handled it. Loved how he covered it. Good deal.
Absolutely. I think that Cheeto had this issue last year where he would be in the right place, but then wouldn't turn his head around, wouldn't look for the ball that's right behind his shoulder, and either just get a deflection or the play will be made on him. Right. Now you're seeing the fruits of this new coaching staff's labor, where he is able to just be bounce off of the hands away from coming up with the pick.
Right.
Because he had positioning on the route. There was no way that Calvin Ridley was going to come up with that ball.
Right. I mean, if he had to dive over him or reach it, but it was just great coverage. And that's something that we hadn't seen in such a long time from the corners. We always saw this bail, keep everything in front of you, where you kind of challenge the receiver to make a play. And, most of the time it was good. It was the few times it wasn't, and we got more work to do.
Absolutely. And this goes a lot back to what you were saying. This defense isn't complete yet. It's still cooking. We use we use a lot of food analogies, but the ingredients are still being thrown into the pot, and they got to simmer for a while before you get a good soup.
Yeah, gotta get all the natural juices and herbs and everything coming up to the top.
Absolutely. So it's really good to see this stuff now and really understand how they're going to build off of that in these later coming weeks. Now, we're going to kind of move on. Now, we finally out of the first quarter. It seems like forever that it seems like
finally out.
And in real time too. It felt like this first quarter lasted forever.
Absolutely.
Especially for Cowboys fans. Because it felt like it was so much going wrong. If I could describe the feeling at the end of that first quarter, it would be distressed. Distressed is probably the best feeling that I can use. The best word that I can describe the feeling at the end of that first quarter, because it was rough. But you begin to see, things that showed a silver lining and gave hope moving into the second quarter and into halftime.
I think as it moved on, they were still finding the nuances of different things they needed to do to get better, and then they totally flipped the switch in the second half. But show me what you're talking about in the second quarter.
Absolutely. This is going to be in the second quarter, 6 minutes and 3 seconds left. This is going to be a third down play. And this was a lot of drives in this game. I think each team had about 12 drives, if I remember my count. And third downs are pivotal.
Yeah.
Important. And this is one where I don't think that the team was able to live up to the expectations, and we're going to see that here. Obviously, they're on the goal line, so we have an understanding of what may be about to happen. You see a guy get taken off for a ride. And the cartel view doesn't necessarily show everything well enough, so I'm just going to continue to back it up and allow the commercial, the televised view, tell this story. Tell me what you see, Chris.
You just watched where there was no outside contain to press him back when he made his move to make the strong move to the inside and dropped off either Lewis Woods. I can't even see it. When he dropped him off there was no outside contain. There was nothing to keep, somebody out there, guarding that area, that boundary to keep him from being wide open. Once he lost him, he was done.
Yeah, absolutely. And the defender got a hand on his hip. That may be what led to get him turned around. But you got to work the hips a little bit. And what I mean work the hips, I mean the defender has to use his hips. He committed.
He's got to be it's got to be more fluid. But that's Jordan Lewis. So Jordan Lewis had a high ankle sprain. I think the first week of camp, and he sat out maybe 2 to 3. So here he is playing, gutting it out, trying to guard one of the best young wide receivers in the game. Advantage Atlanta.
Absolutely. And I'll be the first to tell you, seeing that, it didn't help to see them go up. By this time, I think it was 26 to 7. This made the score 26 to 7 because they missed the 2-point conversion.
Right.
But I love that the defense never gave up after that.
Oh no!
If you see a 19-point deficit, a team may want to give up.
Yep.
Them coming back to eventually get the win lets you know the grit that this entire team, all 53 men, all etc. coaches had to not give up and to make adjustments going into halftime and apply those adjustments and come back for the W.
Well, that's been one thing we at Cowboy Nation have always had a problem with. We come out in the first 15 plays, and then we go into halftime, whatever it is, and there's no change, there's no adjustment of anything that we do, and then we come out, as it did last year, 1-7 against very close games, against very good teams. So I enjoy the fact that there was some change. There was some different things that they did to show that they were listening, but I also like the fact, like you said, that people were stepping up. People on defense were stepping up. Joe Thomas was stepping up with his snaps. Young Diggs was going against great wide receivers in Quintaris as well as Calvin. And then, you had the linebackers working on getting better in depth and things like that. So I think it was overall, after they started realizing what they were going to do in the scheme, he showed the results of the points in the second half. But go ahead, keep going, B.
Absolutely. So we're moving on to the second half here.
Right.
We get to see moments where the Cowboys coaching staff were able to apply those adjustments that they saw in the game in the locker room and going into the second half. So This is going to be in the third quarter, pretty early in the third quarter too, because there's 12 minutes and 17 seconds on the clock. And we're going to watch this play, and I think that we're going to see some good things on behalf of this defense. So let's let it ride. Man, I love Alden. I love Alden Smith, man. I love Alden Smith. If you see here, look at him swim directly past the O-lineman. That's why I feel that this is a good play. Alden hits a brick wall and then moves around it.
I think all this tenaciousness, his relentlessness, and the fact of the matter that they were starting to figure it out. They were starting to be able to get off and make plays. Alden played in that 2-point stance when he was in San Fran, so he was able to use that a little bit different. But every guy's moving up and making plays. You got, Xavier Woods making sure he's coming up and cracking the guy a yard or two short in the backfield, causing a different outlet for that offense. And that's what you have to be able to do. You got to be able to get those type of plays in games where, okay, we've seen it, we know how to react to it, and then we're going to make the play. And I think that's what they were able to do in the second half.
I mean, you're talking about this from a guy who hasn't played game in 5 years. That's how.
Hey, listen, man. Some guys are just gifted and talented. You know guys like that. You know some guys who can do certain things, man. They haven't done it forever, but they say, "Hey, yeah, I can go do it." They jump and they go do it, and that's how Aldon Smith is with football. And I'm glad he's with us, man, and not somewhere else causing havoc.
Absolutely, man. He can get out of bed, and he may give us a 10-sack season.
Oh yeah, it's that's totally possible. I don't put it past him. The amount of pressures he gets, the amount of times he gets to hit the quarterback, 10 would be it would make him comeback player of the year. I put it that way.
Absolutely. I don't see a reason why he can't be comeback player of the year right now, because his story of growing as a man it's incredible.
I mean, he's going to have some competition with that. Even especially if Alex Smith gets on the field, Derek Waller and his rehabilitation and who he became as a tight end for the Vegas Raiders. There's a lot of people, but right now the front runner of comeback player of the year has got to be one young Aldon Smith.
Yes, sir. Now, this next play is the last play that I wanted to show some film on, and then we can just talk about it for a couple minutes. This is towards the end of the third quarter. 51 seconds left on the clock. And it's a lot of good and bad that happened with this play. I feel like we had a good split, three plays that I classified as bad and 3 that I classified as good.
Okay.
This one I feel could go either way. And as the film is going to show, there's a lot of things that went good and bad with this. This is another situation of Chidobe being at the right place at the right time and almost making the play. Almost making that play, just a hair away. And as you see in the cartel view, you go see him make the play for the ball and just be a second too late.
Yeah.
And
everybody was almost.
Yeah.
Pass rush was getting there, caused a little bit of timing, but that's a very long route. And with a nuanced guy, like Quintaris is, he makes a great catch and go from there.
Absolutely.
Good defense, just a better throw.
Yeah. It was great execution on both halves because Julio, he managed to not only get to where he needed to be, but sit down literally on the route and make the play and get up again, obviously, with a DB flying over him and a DB rushing towards him and get a couple extra yards. That was a 19-yard play, and it gets nothing but praise from me. But we also have to recognize that Cheeto, being a few yards away, managed to just once again be a hair away from a pass deflection or an interception.
But those are reps that inside this offense, he'll know what he's doing. He'll feel more comfortable making gambles if he needs to gamble or playing off because he'll be able to. He's in the system, but the system isn't. He's inside the system, but the system isn't inside of him to everything he's got to be able to do and be responsible for. Just better. Sometimes it's just a better throw than what you expect.
Absolutely. So, as you can see, this game was a roller coaster. We had the good, the bad, and definitely the ugly.
Right.
And this is just on the defensive side of the ball. And I really hope that, this roller coaster ride tugging at our heartstrings is something that goes exactly how this game goes. Yes, we may have our woes at the beginning of the season, but towards the end, the team will really come into knowing who they are, just like you said early on in this conversation.
Yeah, you like I said, you 8 quarters in implementing anything. And,
right.
People spending time with us, turned around. If you're watching this video to this point, hit the like button, definitely hit the subscribe button so you'll be able to know when me and Brandon drop random videos and put stuff out. But you got to be able to say that in the process of a game or process of putting a system in, they got 8 quarters.
That's
So
right.
they're going from being mechanical, like, okay, I'm supposed to hit this gap. Oh, hey, I'm doing this, to being awkward, like, trying to figure out which direction to go, to being a natural. And when we look at this team, we'll be looking around week 8, around 9 to 10, and start finally seeing the defense form and be who we think they are.
Absolutely. Hey, man, and the magical thing about that week 8, 9 time is you get the reinforcements at that time.
No doubt.
You get that other monster that he shall not be named at this point in time.
No, you can say his name. You can say his name. He just can't put no suit on. Randy Gregory's in the building, and we're excited about that.
Absolutely. He'll be back around that time that we know who the defense is. And he's another one of those guys, like we praised Alden Smith. He'll get out of bed, and you can't discount his ability to potentially get you a sack in that first game back.
Listen, he gets out the bed, and he's better. He's right underneath Alden Smith for the best pass rusher. And the thing about it, he's able to get out, like you said, fall out of bed, roll out of bed, and get you 5 sacks. And that's damn near unheard of.
Absolutely. So, we took enough of your time for this section of the video. You done hung with us for probably about 35 minutes now at this point. So if you haven't already, just like Chris said, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you can get more, detailed discussion, film breakdowns just like this. Very soon, you're also going to get an offensive breakdown of this game, and it's going to be a lot more interesting once we get to that. But hey, this has been Frankly Football. My name is Brandon, and I got my main man with me.
Hey, set it off, Chris, man. Hit the like button, subscribe, spend some time with us, man. We'll see you soon. Peace.